Assalamualaikum and good day. Let's continue with our analysis modeling using UML. Now we focus on sequence diagram and state machine diagram. Okay, assume this is our current system that we have shown, that we have exposed to you. Okay, then this is the domain model where we actually captured all the entities for this current system. So assume we have 3 use cases. With the domain model, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 classes. And we already shown you the activity diagram. Now we want to do the sequence diagram for the scenario of managed car. So for managed car, we have, here you can see, we have staff who will manage the car. And then when you come up with the sequence diagram, have a look at the domain model. So you know in the system, you're going to keep the record of the staff and the car, where we have the staff ID to keep track the staff who actually managing the car. So in this case, we need to show here the staff. Okay, so you can also include the label for the actor that is staff here. Okay, so just move here, then you have staff actor. Okay, so you have staff here, and what the staff can do, we also want to keep the record of the staff and also the car, right, just now. So this is where we mentioned to you that you don't need to have login as a use case, which is wrong, because login will be in most of the cases in the systems, any systems, login will be an operation. So you have the actor staff to log in to initiate the sequence diagram, and then you have the staff object where you have the staff should enter the login. Okay, so here we have the parameter that is staff ID. So this is actually correspond to this. You see the attribute. Can you see the relationship? So the message passed here is actually later in the design we will come up with the operation. Domain model only focus on what, so we don't say we don't indicate the operation, the third part after this, right? So we focus on the attributes only. That is what we want to capture. That is why we call domain model, not instead of class diagram, where class diagram will be, although this is class diagram, so later in design we call it design class diagram, also known as class diagram. But to differentiate, normally in most references we call it domain model. Okay, so this domain model, when you analysis, you already can come up with the sequence diagram. Remember, there are also variations in terms of sequence diagram. If you see in the many resources out there. So here in this course we focus on the objects only for the analysis. Okay, so we have the actor, the staff object, and the car object. So you don't think about the boundary, the controller, and the database yet in this analysis stage, because it's still what, so just focus on the basic, that the domain model, staff, and car. Okay, so we have managed. Remember, we are looking at managed car scenario here for this sequence diagram. So one use case diagram, one use case must have at least one sequence diagram. So now we want to show you the scenario for staff managing the car. Okay, so we have staff to log in to the system, and then we check. So we have then the staff can manage car. Okay, where we can say for each car the staff can do managing the car record, either add, edit, or delete. Okay, so we just make it very high level at this point of analysis. Okay, and of course during design later you have to refine this and add more details like the controller, the control object, the boundary object, and the data access layer object. Okay. So here you have the stuff and the car. Where you manage the car, you submit the plate number. Yeah. You have the plate number here for the car, right? So here you have to search or find the car with the plate number. And then the alternative is you can use the frame, where you can use this one to add the frame like this. But now we don't want, so we just delete. I've done this for you. So it can be the alternative to show the car is found or not found. So when you want to add a new record, you must find first by plate number. If it is found, then you cannot add, isn't it? If it's not found, then only you can add the car. So here, the car must do whatever operation related to the car. So find car must be here. So it calls by itself. This we call self call lah, self call. And then add car also must be done by car object. Okay. So if the car exists, so we can also use this notation for the control in terms of branching, isn't it? So if the staff want to update car, so update the plate number, and the staff also can delete the car. Okay. So what about the return message here? We call this over here message, this one, return message. Okay, as we discussed in the lecture video, return message is optional and only shown when it's necessary. For example, here we want to show there is a message to confirm to add. Then we add the return message. Okay. Otherwise, it will be too clutter, like manage car, then return, then do this, and so on. Everything you need to return message is too clutter. Let's say I want to add now one more return for the final one lah. Okay, so I add here. So I add, where is it? Should it be the last? This is what we call activation, right? So this the last activation. So I can actually, okay, so pull it down a bit so I can have this edited, right? And also this one edited here. Okay, so let's say I want to return and just send this to the staff. So I can actually bring this down and I can return to the user that for example here we just say, okay, okay, this one a bit tricky, but you can change the message here to the line according to what we need to return, like this one lah, message, right? So you just edit the text accordingly. Okay, so here let's say complete, then you just return the message of complete. Okay, if let's say you need to adjust because of the arrangement of the whatever notation you use, then you just adjust accordingly so that it will look better for in terms of arrangement of your diagram. Okay, so here let's go to the state machine. I have two versions here based on the slide. This is also to show you the variation. So here you use the in here it says subtitle. Okay, the composite state and the subtitle. So you can do, if you still remember, the format is actually here event, and this card actually showing the condition, the one that in the square bracket here, right? The square bracket, and then we have the slash here to show what is the action to be done. Okay, so This is actually the state machine diagram for what? For the car. So you see here I have availability as one of the attribute. So before we can rent a car, we have to see whether it's available or not, isn't it? So this is where in the template of your documentation, we already state and explain that not all the classes need a state machine diagram. So you must choose the class that has states. In this example, it's not the staff, but it's the car. We have availability because if you want to if a customer wants to rent a car, we have to check in the system whether it's available or not, isn't it? So availability will be 0, not available, 1 is available. So here we can see available. If not available, that means it's rented, isn't it? Okay, so availability equals to 1 for the starting, and then the event is that confirm rental, then availability equals to 1. Then only you can confirm rental, and then what happened is that you have to set the availability equals to 0. Okay, so let's say I have I want to paste here, just paste. So now I want to make it as rented from rented to available. So this one, after the end of the rental, now I say the event. The event is end rental. So now availability equals to, from 0, I have to set it to 1, right? So now it goes to this state that is available. So in the system, when the customers want to rent a particular car, so this state machine diagram show the states from available to rented. Okay, so if you look at the variation of the state machine diagram, so this one is just now we say the subtitle, right? So you can see here availability, where if we use this notation, the event and the action can be written here. So less clutter, isn't it? So it's up to you which notation, so long it's correct, then it's okay. So that's why in our lecture also we expose you to the variation of notation, be it sequence diagram, activity diagram, domain model, and also even some use case diagram. So they are variation in different resources or references. So you just need to be consistent in your system documentation. Like in this stage, we are focusing on analysis. So here, this is the start, isn't it? So in this case, for this state machine diagram, we show the ability and rented keep on being checked, so that there's no ending of it so long the system is run. So we always have to keep track the status of the car, whether it's available or is rented. So here you can see that you can always adjust this diagram. So if let's say you choose to use this one, okay, so it's okay, and you can just be consistent throughout the application. Okay, so I think it's clear now that if you check again the domain model, you can ask whether you should have other state machine diagram for other classes. So maybe for your project, you can see that even payment could have state machine diagram. It depends on the system, whether or not, for example, the system has to check certain, like for example, the car rented, the customer can actually pay deposit first. Then you have to keep track certain states. think that's all for these two diagrams.